Okay. Uh, yeah. Introduction wise, I have no clue anymore.
Okay. I won't say Misfits, but I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's Long Island Josh
Like
back from a long sabbatical. Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much your intro right there. Let's just start off on that. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, do a countdown.
Attention. Do I have everybody's attention now?
No, I think we'll just leave that right there.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's the first of, I guess, many, and we've done discussions before. It's not like we haven't done a discussion before.
We just didn't have an
What is-
audience.
When's the last time that we had a discussion? I don't even remember the last pay-per-view that we did. It was like way before AEW even started.
Last time it was recorded, yes.
Yeah,
Probably even before All In. So
it was. Yeah.
right?
It's been a long while. I think the last time we did anything was during a time when, what was it? Undertaker had that match where he left his stuff in the middle of the ring. Because I remember doing the thumbnail to that.
That's a while because he's retired unless he comes back for Saudi shows.
Yeah. Which I don't really see why. I mean, I guess you could see why by, I guess, money factor, but
Yeah, the Saudi Prince loves Undertaker. Apparently, he was a fan of the Attitude Era, so
yeah,
that's what he wants, and the Saudi Prince
but-
gets what he wants.
he's gonna have to cut the cord sometime. I mean, these guys aren't gonna live forever, unless you're Sting and still doing it,
Yeah, I mean, but Sting, the way AEW has presented him has been nothing but good, especially if you compare it to the mess that was his WWE run.
Oh yeah, I think overall the run that he should have had is what AEW is doing. Even if he's paired with somebody else, I mean, you don't really have to do a solo run. He's done enough for his own solo run, through his career, that he could build somebody up like Darby Allin as he did.
But that's not the style of WWE. They don't book in that philosophy. Everyone's a single act because I guess they just, like with a tag team, why pay two people for something that one person should be able to do? So why use a legend, someone with years of experience like Sting, to use all that experience to try to give a push to someone young that's coming up? Someone like Darby who, can't really talk. I don't think he's a horrible talker, but he can fall off things from a high place, and it looks nice.
We'll get to that. We'll get to discussion about Darby Allin and I guess various other AEW talent. AEW has a lot of good talent, whether it be from indies or just talent that they develop themselves in the right way. But we'll get to that part. I want to know your opinion about the whole Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon, WWE, all that.
All right, well, that was a complete shock to me. Mostly because I don't really pay attention to WWE like I did years ago when we were doing our reviews. I pretty much gave up entirely, and I actively avoid news about WWE. But that popped up, and I was like, wow, how does that happen? I assume it has something to do with, I guess, Nick Khan taking over that company. So yeah, I was surprised.
A lot of decisions come from that Nick Khan, and a lot of it has to stem from him. I guess he produced the Royal Rumble match, the men's one, and I guess
that's what I heard.
I guess it didn't go over as well as they were hoping for, but there's also the whole big rumor, as we already know how Vince can be, where he does multiple changes in the show itself or what the finish is going to be or anything like that. Because there's also the rumor that, what's his name, Riddle, was supposed to win the men's Royal Rumble match, but I think the whole show, I didn't pay attention to any of the matches, only because I haven't watched a WWE product for over a year. I only know who I remember being around. I don't know any of the new guys. I don't know anybody of the new guys. I don't know this whole new NXT or anything like that. I don't watch anymore. So I don't know what they were trying to go for with the whole men's Royal Rumble, but it wasn't how it used to be before. And apparently it had to do with a lot of Vince not going with a lot of ideas that Shane wanted to do. And so with the men's Royal Rumble going the way it did, someone had to take the fall for it, not voluntarily. So they just, blow it back on Shane himself.
So you're a conspiracy theorist that's believing that Shane's the one who's taking the blame for the unpopular result of both the Rumbles this year?
I'm not sure if he did them. I'm not sure if he was the producer for the women's.
I don't think so. I think he was just involved in the men's one, but
yeah,
I don't know enough to be able to guess if Shane was really like having a fit backstage, like it's been reported, or he's just the fall guy. But this isn't the first time Shane has left the company. He did years ago, and he came back, but the circumstances were very different because I believe at that time, what was that? After the invasion, I don't know how many years after, but there was reports that Shane wanted to like buy ECW before it went under the first time, maybe like have their own version of NXT, what would become NXT, but do it as ECW with whatever TV rights they had at the time, but try to have an independent company underneath them to develop talent and test things out and see what the future could possibly be. But then Vince nixed that idea. He didn't like that. I think Shane also wanted to get into MMA, and Vince didn't think that would be a thing. So I think Shane is a very intelligent man when it comes to, I guess, combat sports, but I guess it doesn't connect super well to the WWE way of doing things.
I think he could have done it his way. I mean, they did that whole thing. What was it? I forgot what they called it. It was their own underground fighting sequence that they did.
I never actually saw that. I just know that there was the Raw Underground, but
yeah,
like it was just an open mat, no ropes. Was that the whole gimmick?
it was. Yeah, it's just basically, it's basically an underground fighting. It's like you just watch two guys with people around you in a circle, watching two guys just go at it until someone comes out victorious, knocking out the other guy. I think Braun Strowman. Now I don't even know his name anymore. All I know is that there's guys all over the place. I don't know where they're going. Some of them. All I know is you hear stories and all that. How bad it was, I guess. I mean, there was this whole thing. I think I forgot who it was. I saw this statement. I think it was from Seth Rollins or somebody that re-signed recently or somebody. And they said that I don't know why people are saying so much bad things about WWE. It's not as bad as what they're saying it is to be. I mean, how are you going to say something like that when you have multiple talent leave and tell their experiences of how it was there? And I think
I would say, well, the difference is if something's coming out of a Seth Rollins, that's a guy who's at the top. So his experience is going to be much different than Ali, who requested his release, and W was just like, no, you have to stay here, even though we've released like 80 something people this year. The people that want to stay get fired, but the ones that want to go, they will not let go of.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand that whole concept, and I don't understand why they pretty much didn't use quite a bit of people in the Rumble itself. They were having like Johnny Knoxville and certain other people that was, in the Rumble. And I get it that you're trying to promote a movie, which in return promotes your product as well. But they didn't have somebody in there like Cesaro wasn't in the Rumble.
Yeah, but I would defend Johnny Knoxville because he has history with the company. I remember one of the movies that came out, they had the match with Umaga, and like it's not a complete why are we doing this cross promotion? Like the thing they did with the zombies, I still don't, again, I didn't watch it, but there were zombies that like attacked someone at one point.
I forgot what that was.
That makes no sense, but Johnny Knoxville makes sense. And I guess, he could possibly bring in an audience that if you already like Jackass, you like physical things, so you might want to watch some wrestling, and maybe you want to watch the Rumble. So I get that. I could defend it, but if they had, I don't know, random celebrity, insert random celebrity, then I couldn't defend it. When yes, you have guys like Cesaro, I guess, who wasn't in the Rumble. I don't know what he's been up to lately, but the guy can go in the ring. But maybe he's just too Swiss.
I don't understand the concept of WWE anymore, especially with NXT and the whole NXT 2.0. And I don't know what direction that they're going with that. But
my belief for a while has been that WWE is not a product for people who pay attention to what's on their television screen or care or get involved emotionally. That's not what they want. They just want someone who's going to sit in front of the TV for 2 to 3 hours per show. 5 times a week now, probably. You have to dedicate 10 hours to WWE for television that doesn't make show episode to episode, week to week, month to month. Probably if I really need it, I could find examples where the show doesn't make sense hour to hour. And again, that goes back to you saying that that's just the way modern day Vince books his show, that it could start off, they start off the day trying to come up with one set of plans, and then by the time the show's about to start, it's being rewritten on the spot, and then what was said in the first segment doesn't make sense by the last 40 minutes of the show, and you were paying attention and you're upset that the show doesn't make sense. That's on you. I don't know why you would do that, and that's the WWE way.
So what do you look at the Royal Rumble itself? Do you see that as building a newer talent or a talent who has been in a build-up in some sort of way?
When I enjoyed WWE, the Rumble was always, you got growth in storylines that were already happening. You got testing to or hints towards maybe a different type of feud down the road. When the brand split mattered, it was like, oh, cool, these guys that never interact are interacting right now. So that was fun. And you could get a guy who was on their way up winning the Rumble. At the time, Cena had his first win, Batista had his win, Orton, those guys, when they won, were coming up and being built. But from what I recall, the past few years, they don't build stars at all. They just rely on acts that were created years ago. Goldberg, Taker, if he's willing to come out of retirement, semi-retirement, I guess Hardy's, Lesnar. I mean, I can't think of who they built over the past few years. I guess Roman, Seth, even Big E and New Day. They've been around for a lot of years, and I guess Big E's back on SmackDown, but he was on Raw, and they're just. Again, you're paying attention to details and you're unhappy. That's on you. Why would you do that? You want good pro wrestling? You want good storytelling? Go to AEW. Go to Netflix. Go to Hulu. This is not that. This is WWE.
So would you say, okay, so if I had to bring up somebody like, say, a Brock Lesnar, would that surprise you or no? Or were you just like, we're doing this again? Like, it's just.
I'm a fan of
Vince
Lesnar.
McMahon.
I'm a fan of Lesnar, and he's a freak show act. Let's be honest. So it's different, and I would be like, okay, cool, Suplex City. But what does that mean for you? What happens to WWE in a world where Lesnar is forced to retire out of nowhere? How does that help that company? They put so much into him. I get that he's a proven track record. He's a star outside of WWE because he attempted football, almost made it. Then he went to UFC, became a heavyweight champion. Probably, if I don't remember the buy rates, but I'm sure his era set pay-per-view records. And I get it. People know who Brock is, so it's interesting that he comes in, but it's probably all the same thing. He comes in, he destroys everybody. So long-term, how do you build when you have this act that just destroys any progress you have made over the past year?
Yeah, I don't know. The
But I am a
same thing
Lesnar fan.
goes.
But I'm not a fan where, oh, Lesnar's back. I'm not coming back for that. And
No,
again, the moment that I gave up on WWE, truly gave up on WWE, is when Brock Lesnar came back to take Cena on in Extreme Rules, and he lost. He lost his first pay-per-view to John Cena, Super Cena, and I was done. Instead of Vince McMahon having the mentality that Dana White had when he purchased Pride, and one interviewer asked, like, oh, like, are you happy? Are you gonna have like your guys versus their guys? And he's like, what do you mean their guys? He's like, I won. They're my guys now. Now I have all the talent. So he get, at a time UFC could make the best matchups. WWE doesn't think that way, and I don't get why. Lesnar, when he came back, he should have beat Cena. They didn't, and I was done.
Okay, so you were done because Cena beat him. Okay, so what about? Okay, would you be excited if you would have heard about Cena coming into the Royal Rumble, but as Peacemaker?
Peacemaker, yes. I really enjoy John Cena, the actor, and I hate John Cena, the wrestling character. Once he started doing stuff, and I've seen some of Cena in other movies and things like that, I do enjoy him. Early on, it seemed like a lot of his roles were repetitive. He was just a dumb, jacked up guy. And to an extent, Peacemaker is that as well, but there's more depth to him. Cena's like acting has gotten better over the years, which is good for him. And yes, if you told me, hey, Peacemaker came, I would have found that clip. I would have watched, and depending on how it all went, maybe I would have tried to find it for free and watch the Rumble.
Even if he didn't win, even if he didn't win or not win, you would be excited.
I would go actively look for GIFs or video of it, and I don't do that now for anything WWE. Right. And I hated Cena, the wrestling character, so it's funny that, like, yes, I would be very excited to see Peacemaker do something in the Rumble. Now that it hasn't happened, if Peacemaker shows up on Raw, SmackDown, that's not enough to get me interested. WWE had a chance because, even though I hate WWE, I am a pro wrestling fan, and I remember really liking the Rumble. So I want to like wrestling. I want to watch something I enjoy, but WWE I don't enjoy, so I don't watch it. But I could be intrigued enough. Oh, okay. Let me see what this is about.
You asked me a question, was it worth it? And it really wasn't. I was excited only because even though I haven't watched a WWE program for over a year, it's always, if I had to pick one event, Royal Rumble would always be it, because it's just, you don't know if someone's going to pop out or anything like that, but nothing really happened except for them saying the whole forbidden door, and it was just Mickie James. Nothing too big.
The forbidden door does not exist with WWE. It exists with everybody else. But like you'd mentioned, I used to start all these pay-per-view and reviews with asking you, was it worth the price? So how do you watch WWE pay-per-views now? You have to get Peacock, right?
Yeah.
Is Peacock free or is it tiered to watch this pay-per-view?
To watch WWE in general, you have to have premium.
Okay. So would this have been worth $6?
I would have watched something else on Peacock other than watching the Royal Rumble, to be honest.
Do you want your time back?
Yeah, I would. I mean, my girlfriend's in the same room with me. She was watching 50 Shades. Not my cup of tea, but I would rather watch that than watch the Royal Rumble.
Well, it's not a product for you. So
no. But
what overall, I was gonna also what I heard, and you had mentioned also when it comes to the Rumble, one thing that I used to like a lot about the Rumble is the theme songs. So if someone was returning to get to hear a theme, or just you're waiting for the countdown, and then after the someone's theme.
Yeah.
What has happened to WWE themes? You have an opinion on this?
Yeah, the themes, I have no clue who anybody was coming out. The only ones I knew of is like the ones that had themes that you already knew, or who've been around for a while that had established themes, like Randy Orton, New Day, Big E apparently has his own theme. Apparently,
He has a singles theme.
Yeah, he has a singles theme.
I don't know.
So he has his own theme. I think Kofi came out with the New Day theme. Who else came out with their original theme? Mickey James came out with her Impact theme.
Hardcore Country.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people, like even in the women's Royal Rumble, there was a lot of them that had new themes. I just didn't know who, like you didn't know who was coming out. And I don't know how to feel about that, because you would go into a Rumble, you would hear, like you said, you would hear somebody's entrance theme, and you're like, oh my God, it's this person that's coming in. But this one, I'm just like, I have no clue who's coming out.
Well, that's WWE for you.
And they don't sound like they don't sound like traditional themes. I mean, if you remember, for the longest time, like I've been watching professional wrestling since I was little. I remember watching NWA and WWF back in the late 80s and stuff like that. Everyone had a distinct theme, and even if they did like a whole like different version of it, it still sounded like the theme itself of how that person is. Their themes nowadays don't sound like themes. They sound like instrumentals of a song.
I think that's just this belief, I guess, from upper management for a while now, that they don't want any one or a few wrestlers being so important that the brand could get hurt by them not being there.
Yeah.
Like, dips when Rock left, dips when Austin left. And I guess, that's why they built around Cena forever. But, Cena wasn't bigger than the brand.
Yeah.
And they're doing that with Roman now, I guess. I don't know how well he connects with the audience.
I don't see themes anymore in WWE being special. I mean, themes like, for example, one of my all-time favorites, one of them being Steve Austin. As soon as you heard the glass break, the theme itself gave him attitude as soon as he started walking down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock, with his coming out, it seemed like it added to his persona when he would come out in entrance. Eddie Guerrero, same thing. Brock Lesnar has the same entrance theme, and it still goes with him. But I feel like nowadays it's just not important for WWE to have an entrance theme that relates to the wrestler itself. It's like they're just throwing a song instrumental on somebody and being like, "Yep, there you go."
Well, you hit on the head right a few seconds ago, that it doesn't sound like things were made for him. Years ago, they used to develop a character, and a part of the wrestling character was the theme, was the outfit, was the Titantron, and they don't do that anymore. There's not as much effort put in to make a fully fleshed out character, and that's why you have a disconnect. I mean, I'm so happy Danhausen showed up in AEW and not WWE, because, I could see them first thing being like, "Oh, why do you have makeup? Take that off."
Yeah.
And like just ruining somebody, while Danhausen put the work in to become a fully fleshed out character.
Even character wise, everyone had their own character, but it seems like now people are fishing for a character, and Vince just throws something and it's like, "Oh, out there, you'll make a lot of money," and they'll just go for it. And I feel like a lot of wrestlers, especially in NXT 2.0, a lot of them aren't wrestlers. They just tell them what to do. Go out there, say this, do that. You'll make a lot of money. Yeah. And everything with a professional wrestler, with the years that they do, with the years of building what they want to build for their own character. For example, Adam Cole was with NXT before it came NXT 2.0. His contract was up. He didn't re-sign. The idea was for him to be a manager for somebody. I forgot who it was on the main roster. They weren't going to have him as a active wrestler on the main roster. They wanted to pair him with somebody and have him be a manager, because Vince doesn't look at someone as Adam Cole as to do his job, but just give him a character. And they wanted
to cut his hair.
Yeah. So you think the right move for Adam Cole was to stay with WWE, or was it the passion of professional wrestling and wrestling in front of many people over getting paid and just doing what the boss tells you to.
Well, Adam Cole is a professional wrestler, and WWE wants sports entertainers. It's a very different mentality. And now they're just trying to breed or buy sports entertainers. It doesn't help WWE to hire someone who loves pro wrestling, because their system doesn't feed off that. It kills creativity, and it kills any passion that these men and women have for their art. They don't want artists anymore. Just here's your 3 pages of dialogue, memorize it. You have to go out there in 20 minutes, look at the hard cam, point to the WrestleMania sign, and that's what they want.
I guess you can say that a lot of because before NXT became 2.0, you had a lot of people who were professional wrestlers. Like you had Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly contract was up, didn't resign because he wanted to, wrestle. I felt like, to be honest, I feel like Kyle O'Reilly and NXT 2.0, the styles of what they were trying to do with NXT 2.0, and then the style of how Kyle O'Reilly, if you look at him, does not fit with what NXT 2.0 is trying to do with the whole colorful, we're trying to be more upbeat and stuff like that. Not saying that Kyle O'Reilly is not upbeat, but the style of the professional wrestling is not the same. They don't mesh together, and I feel that same way with Tommaso Ciampa. I get that he wants to stay and stuff like that, but I just don't see the old NXT guys that they built that brand around fitting in with what they're trying to do,
Well, that's because Triple H lost the war to AEW, so Vince had to completely punish him, and it'll be very interesting to find out years from now how Nick Khan fit in all this. Because I think they're revving up for a sale in the next few years. I think it would be to NBC Universal, but I could also, and I don't know the international legalities to this, I could see Saudi Arabia buying that company.
Yeah, I think whoever makes the big bid for it, McMahon's just going to do it.
It's a business decision. It's all dollars and cents. So I wouldn't be surprised to see at least a bid or news that Saudis want it, and then maybe it can't be approved. But Saudis could also help jack up the price for whatever WWE sells for, because they've got the funds. And I don't know. I think everything here next 10 years, WWE is not owned by the McMahons. It's still managed by them. On employment contracts. If Vince is still alive, Stephanie, she'll definitely be on some type of contract. Don't know how Triple H fits in. Shane's not a part of the plans right now, but he can always come back. He left once, so he can come back. I just don't think the first time he left, it was for passion. It was to try to show Vince well, I'm going to go out and be successful elsewhere. And then he came back and people cared. But as someone who watches more than I do, is Shane even wanted? Is his reactions oh, cool, Shane's here? Or is it we're excited that Shane's here? Or is it just cool, Shane just took up a spot that could have went to Tommaso Ciampa?
I think there was a little mixture of that. I mean, Shane could have, done the whole production. I think also that played into that whole thing of him being stressed out, not only with Vince changing everything and not going with what he wanted to do. I think he was also, he was trying to see how he was going to do his spot in the Rumble itself, but also try to produce Rumble itself. And he just put too much on his plate and didn't come out the way I guess he expected it to. But I think it was good to see Shane, but it's just Shane, at this point. It's one of those where it's oh, you brought the dancing monkey out one more time. I think we're done with this for right now. Let's give somebody a chance.
Yeah,
And
especially when that dancing monkey really is popular because he could steal everyone's moves and he could jump off things.
yeah,
And now he's a much older Shane, and I doubt people want to see him climbing atop of the Titantron and jumping and been like, yeah, we know there's a crash pad there, but like, don't you have a kid? Like, why are you
yeah,
doing this?
yeah. I don't see him just throwing himself off the what was it, the Hell in a Cell, and just going right through the table. I don't see him doing that at this point. I think he has more to offer. If not in WWE, he has more to offer to some other business. I don't think Vince will give him full, I want to say, custody of the whole company. I don't think Vince, as long as Vince is breathing,
he is not the heir apparent.
No,
and Triple H is not the heir apparent.
Yeah, after Triple H had his whole thing with NXT and AEW War, and with what was it, Triple H had the whole heart thing happen. I don't think Vince is all like, you know what, I'm about to outlive you.
Oh my god, like that could have happened. I still haven't heard any like full details on what happened with Triple H. Just more that whatever his cardiac event was pretty serious, and I don't know. I don't know if he ever returns to the ring. I haven't seen a photo of him in months, so who knows if he still has that much muscle on his frame. I don't know. But I think it'll be interesting, down the road to find out what's been going on this whole year behind the stage.
Apparently, Shawn Michaels is at the reins for NXT 2.0, and I guess they're high on Shawn Michaels, but what's going to happen if they like, oh yeah, we're going to move back to Wednesdays. Let's go against AEW again, or let's move, to a different time or whatever, if
I have to think again, at least I could see Vince wanting to do that, but I have to think that these networks that pay so much money for these TV rights have to be able to tell WWE, no, we're not moving you. Especially when you have this new company that has buzz, it's growing over time, and like it seems to just have a more hardcore audience than and connects with its audience better than you guys can. So, there was that experiment, the Wednesday Night War. You guys didn't win, and NXT 2.0, I assume the ratings are worse than original NXT.
That's what I hear.
So, like, what would be the incentive to go to battle with AEW if you've lost already and your vision doesn't work? Your vision won't work again. Why would these companies allow that to happen? But then again, who knows? Because maybe it's just like this Nick Khan just has a silver tongue and can get whatever he wants.
I don't know. I think they just soured a lot of good talent that they had from anyone from, was it now that are Cassie Lee and whatever, it was Peyton Royce and what's her name, Billie Kay at that time. And I think that they were good talent, and I think they kind of just wasted them. I think Adam Cole left because, hey, why stick around when they're just going to change what I am and what I established throughout the years?
And all of his friends are in AEW having a good time.
Yeah.
And most of the feedback coming out of AEW has been positive. They've had a few issues, Big Swole, that, the way she exited that company. And I know Brian Cage doesn't seem to be getting used. I thought he would have been used a lot more than he has been when he went to AEW. He is limited, but he's got a ridiculous physique, and he can have very interesting matches. And I would have thought that, when you start a company and you give these people like 3-year contracts, that someone like Brian Cage, I'm going to build around you for 3 years. You're going to be an upper guy on the card, and you're going to win, but ultimately you're there to put over someone bigger. And I'm surprised that they didn't build more around him, so him losing makes other guys more important. Don't give him the mic. The guy can't talk.
No,
but I'm surprised that they haven't done a lot with him. And I'm not surprised to hear that like he's upset about it. But it seems like he's probably on his way out whenever that contract ends. Probably goes back to TNA, which is the best thing for him. I haven't been watching TNA, but anything I've heard about it is that it's like a solid company right now. If you're willing to give them 2 hours, you're gonna enjoy it if you like actual pro wrestling. I don't know what their backstage segments look like. I don't know what their audience looks like, so it may make them look a little rinky-dink, but
yeah. So we were talking about a lot of people being upset, probably not upset, just a little, I guess, perturbed. And there was a bunch of people that left WWE and came over. Apparently, Brian Kendrick was one of those people. And
yes, let's talk about Brian Kendrick.
Yeah,
the man with the plan. I don't think his plan included, being fired from a job in less than 24 hours. So my understanding, and you can correct me if you know the actual truth here, but my understanding is he asked for his release from WWE, was granted it. Now in WWE, he was a producer backstage, right?
Yes, he was a producer backstage. Yeah.
Okay, so I assume he was probably like doing the cruiserweights 205, whatever that currently is, probably helping the younger guys.
About that. I don't even know if that's an actual show still. What was it, 205 Live?
Yeah, it's not.
I don't know.
I thought it's like an internet show or something, or international TV deal things. But
anyways,
okay, producer asked for his release, was granted it, unlike Ali, who still has to suffer being at a place that he doesn't want to be at.
There was a hashtag going around. Was it hashtag free Ali?
Yeah, it's not going to happen because Vince is petty.
Yeah,
maybe Nick Khan is petty as well.
The other Khan.
Yeah. So asked for his release, it was granted. Then AEW posted that Brian Kendrick's gonna have a match tomorrow. So this must happen Tuesday. Tomorrow on Dynamite, it's gonna be him and Mox. And then it was discovered that he had, I guess, done some shoot videos or whatever about his belief in conspiracy theories. That not exactly sure what he believes or what the theory is, but it ignores facts about the Holocaust.
He literally one statement.
He believes it happened, but that number is inflated, I think.
No, he said that the Holocaust was blown out of proportion, way out of proportion. And I'm like, no, don't, no, let's not go there. I mean,
yeah, that came out, and by 7 p.m. Wednesday night, an hour before Dynamite starts, Tony Khan tweeted that due to the abhorrent words, comments made from Brian Kendrick, he will not be on television tonight, and they're going to have a replacement for the match with Mox.
Yep.
And that's got to be some type of record that Brian Kendrick set by being in WWE to AEW to unemployed within 24 to 48 hours.
I just don't understand certain people. And it's funny to me that people would do that, like past stuff, and it's going to catch up to you. Someone's going to bring it up, especially if it's on the internet. It works out for some people. It doesn't work out for some people. It necessarily doesn't have to be like where you're going to lose your job. In this case, he lost his job because, well, a very sensitive subject, And
again, having not really been aware that Brian Kendrick had this in his past, I originally thought, okay, cool. Brian Kendrick's coming to AEW. He's obviously going to lose to Mox. It's going to be a good match. And another guy for dark and elevation to help build guys, to teach guys, and another person that has experience backstage putting matches together, training people. So I thought, okay, that's a good move for AEW to just keep building their their foundation for what the company can be several years from now, because I do think AEW will have their own version of NXT, their own performance center, that they're going to be setting themselves up for multi-generation of how to build talent. And Brian Kendrick is someone that would be useful for that. And no, it doesn't seem like that's happening.
No.
I think it was the right move for Tony to do what he did. I don't have a strong enough opinion whether or not I would care if he's ever brought back. I wouldn't do it just because of the controversy. So I think Brian Kendrick really screwed himself here. Does a TNA take him? Does a Ring of Honor take him? I could see him popping up in there because they have less, they're not in the spotlight anyway. So the benefits that they'll get from him will outweigh the negative attention that will get brought to Twitter and social media. So I think there'll be a spot for him. Otherwise, if not, he'll be regulated to the indies. And I don't know, like how bad this can affect his career. Are people just not even going to want to go to a live event where he's there, your local indie show, he's there, but you can, spend some money, get his autographs, you meet him. Are people going to be even willing to do that? Or they're just going to be like, oh, he's here. I know I'm going to watch a good match, but like, I'd rather you not even be here. Like, I wonder how badly this is going to hurt him.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be where certain people don't want to work with you. I mean, look at the whole thing of what happened with Hogan and how it rubbed a lot of more the African-American group of wrestlers the wrong way.
I don't think he ever made a real apology.
I don't think he did at all.
I don't think he did. So, but Hogan's big enough where it's not that he has been forgiven, but it seems like it's been forgotten because there's a new action figure of him that just came out.
Yeah.
So WWE, he hasn't. I don't think he's made his. He hasn't returned to WTV yet, but I'm sure that happens before Hogan's not around. I think Flair comes back too. But speaking of Flair and being canceled, at least AEW now again has a good track record of staying away from these controversies, because I think the writing's on the wall that Flair was going to go to AEW to do something with Andrade, again, trying to get Charlotte to make her way over. But he got canceled from Dark Side of the Ring and he stayed away and he continues to stay away.
Apparently he got canceled, and then the interview of Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer got partially canceled, but he's back in TNA now, right?
Yeah, he's back in TNA, but I don't think I think just little tarnishes like this really does something for your career. I mean,
but these people are humans. They're not the characters they portray. They're all flawed. Even the guys and girls that I like now, who knows who they really are. I only see the character that they portray.
Yeah. And it's like that with anybody, like any athlete. No one wants to see them for a while, and they don't want to put them on TV. No one's going to put them on the TV. AEW doesn't steers away from all that. WWE does the same thing too. They're not going to put someone like, I guess if partially if it was during Attitude Era, then yeah, but now WWE has so many sponsors that they're not going to lose that money. I bet maybe half or even more of their money that comes into the company is by sponsors alone. And
it's heavy on TV rights. So you just got to keep those networks happy.
Yeah.
And something that I think the networks, at least for TNT and TBS, are happy with is Punk and MJF.
Yes. Yeah. And I think with the whole Punk and MJF thing, I honestly, I think it's good. I honestly, people will have mixed reactions to it. The only time that I've heard someone talk about a mixed reaction about the Punk MJF feud is that they keep bringing up WWE, and the whole thing is like, oh, they must be tanking in ratings that they had to bring up WWE. It's like, no, MJF is going to play his character where he's going to bring up what CM Punk did before,
In AEW, wrestling exists. The history of wrestling exists in AEW. You don't ignore it, because a lot of the AEW guys have their own history on indies and other companies. And as AEW grows and these people from WWE become available, you're going to want to bring them in and you're going to want to acknowledge their history. You don't ignore that. As a fan, you should like that they do that. One of the things that I've kind of, and I'm still confused, is that because I didn't watch NXT, I didn't know how the Undisputed Era fell apart. So they've referenced this blood feud between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, and I had no idea about it.
Yeah.
But like, okay, like to me, someone who pays attention to a lot but doesn't WWE, I wouldn't care if they ignored that. But for someone like you who pays attention, like you'd be a little ticked off that like, oh, okay, Kyle O'Reilly is back and now he's just best friends again with Adam Cole, because like they didn't like each other.
Yeah. And I like that fact. Yeah, I like that fact that they can bring Kyle O'Reilly in. And I'm all like, wait, hold on. They had that whole thing where they went against each other. They had like a whole grudge match. Anything goes, falls count anywhere, whatever. And they acknowledged it in the backstage segment between the, like, I think Adam Cole, if I remember, he comes up to him. He's like, hey, we had our differences in the past. We've went against each other, but we need to stick together. Whatnot. You know, they bring stuff up like that, and it's not a taboo thing for them to do that. Like, oh yeah, so we are cool now. You know, we're best friends again. Like they bring stuff up, like the whole MJF CM Punk thing. I don't hate that they're bringing up like WrestleMania and stuff like that. These are actual things that they can bring up because CM Punk has only been anywhere else before AEW, and that's WWE. Unless you want to talk way in his past, which we could talk about the whole segment between him and Eddie Kingston, and that went way before WWE. And they're bringing up these things because these are where they see CM Punk. This is where they had run-ins with him, or with MJF being a CM Punk fan, only seeing him in WWE. So what are you gonna do? How is MJF going? MJF knows how to put heat on himself. So what is he gonna bring up to put heat on himself that comes for CM Punk?
I mean, Punk does have history outside of WWE, but nothing in the past, 10 years or so. So again, like you mentioned, MJF grew up being a wrestling fan, WWE fan, a CM Punk fan. There's the photo of him being a kid meeting Punk at some signing. So why wouldn't you play off that stuff? So anyone who is like, oh, I can't believe they're bringing up WWE storylines. It's like, you're already a hater. You're just trying to find things to hate, and go watch your WWE if you have a problem with it, where shows make sense week to week, minute to minute. So
there's that whole saying, people want to complain just to complain,
But now what I found real interesting is when Punk signed with AEW, I obviously, like everybody else, wanted to see Punk and MJF go at it on the mic. And we've been getting that. I didn't think we would get it this soon. And that's what I'm also very intrigued by AEW, is that they are pushing their talent that they're getting from WWE, from the indies, and they're putting them in big matches pretty quickly. They're not sitting on these things forever. That, originally I thought maybe Punk and MJF would happen year 2 into Punk's contract, or year 3 at the end. But no, it's happening pretty early, and I like it. And Punk has now gone through the gauntlet, going through all of MJF's lackeys, and it's interesting.
Do you think that it was just because of Punk being a veteran and being around for so long? Do you think it was right to have MJF win that match between him and Punk?
Yes, because if I'm AEW, even though Punk is my guy because he's on my roster, MJF is my guy. MJF is my future. I am paying Punk the big dollars to put over my guy, to put over the next guy. The same way that I'm totally fine that Hangman beat Danielson, that you are paying Danielson to help make your AEW star into a superstar. And I can't tell you how much I have my fingers in the quotes to use the superstar word, but that's what they're here for. And the best thing that I really liked about this week's Dynamite was that Mox and Danielson had a confrontation in the ring, and Danielson said, like, you know, basically, why don't we make our own stable? Why don't we teach these young guys how to evolve, how to get to that next step? We can run this place and we can give back. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're paying these people for. You're paying these WWE guys and anyone else that comes over. You're paying them for their name value to put over your own talent and build that next generation.
This is the thing, is that WWE in a lot of ways they focus, I feel like, on their big names, and then they just wrap everything around that. I feel like, and this is what I have a problem with. I've heard multiple times, it's not just Dave Meltzer, it's also Jim Cornette, it's everybody who's been around for years and probably watched wrestling as long as I have, and they have their own opinion about, say, Jim Cornette has his own problem with Adam Cole coming in and saying, I haven't seen him do anything magnificent in AEW because, you know, he's this top guy who's just going against mid-card wrestlers. I don't know if you want to say Orange Cassidy is mid-card, maybe he is, just depending on the status that it is right now. But I don't think in AEW you have mid-card, you don't have this. You got wrestlers who want to have feuds. With the whole thing with CM Punk and MJF, building MJF up, it's been good. I mean, everyone wins with the audience because you got the war of words between the both. CM Punk losing to MJF only elevates MJF. CM Punk doesn't need to be elevated any more than he's already established himself. Adam Cole going against like best friends and all that. You know, I don't think Adam Cole has anything to prove at this point yet in AEW. He's established. I don't see why Dave Meltzer, Jim Cornette, I don't know, Vince Russo, I haven't heard nothing from Vince Russo anymore. Just wrestling critics in general wants to see these guys come in like Danielson and everybody that established come in and just all of a sudden be put into the championship scene. You know,
you got to build to it, and AEW does a very good job at building to it. Punk had to win matches in order to get to his spot. Yes, he came out, he had the hoopla that obviously they rent out the big arena in Chicago. It's the worst kept secret in wrestling, but Punk didn't come in and just was awarded a title or a title shot. He has been working his way towards it.
Yeah.
It's fundamental storytelling that I really appreciate.
Yeah. It's good storytelling. That's what a lot of wrestling nowadays lack, is just good storytelling. And I enjoy the feud between Adam Cole, Red Dragon, and the Best Friends. I enjoy anything with Britt Baker for some odd reason.
She's a pillar. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I even enjoyed the whole Serena Deeb of how she's acting as well. Like they got pillars, even the whole what's his name? Wardlow and MJF and all that. You know, that is storytelling at its finest.
It's
hopefully
slow build.
Yeah.
You gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
You gotta remember just you know, the little looks that Wardlow would give MJF, and in that look, there's some tension there.
Yeah.
And sometimes the announcers don't even have to say it because AEW wants you to pay attention. The whole mindset behind, you know, BTE and certain way that they book is that they want to reward fans for paying attention. So this week during the MJF Punk match, Wardlow came out and helped MJF by sneaking him the ring. The diamond ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first time when it happened live, I didn't see it. And then when they showed a replay, they got the angle that showed you Wardlow giving it to MJF. But that's just good storytelling. That's little details that in WWE, it would have been Michael Cole screaming, "Oh, Wardlow handed in the ring. Did you see that? Vintage Wardlow."
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate storytelling where I have to look and notice something, and then I'm rewarded for paying attention, and that AEW even thinks that way for booking, that we have to give little crumbs and and like that's rewarding. That is just, again, the word I keep coming back to. It's rewarding. It makes watching it worth my time. It makes it worth my money when I spend money to buy a pay-per-view. Like, I enjoy pro wrestling. I enjoy AEW. And I don't enjoy the other major competition.
AEW, it's just a throwback. I mean, I've been watching forever. WCW days, it's comparable to WCW. I mean, TNT, TBS, Tony Schiavone, who else? Arn Anderson, NWA days with Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard and all that. But everything, the way they do things is really good storytelling. I enjoyed everything that happened between Omega and what's his name, Hangman Adam Page, and his buildup. And I enjoyed storylines that have a good payoff, and that's what they do. It's just the fundamentals of being a wrestling fan and watching all this happen, and it's what you expect. It's not something that is a swerve that you didn't want to happen, and you're like, why did that have to happen? That was unnecessary. So months of building up resulted in that, and I feel like that's what you get in WWE lately. You don't get
they hot shot.
You don't get
matches,
you don't get
angles.
what you said. You don't get what you said. A reward, Yeah.
Keith Lee, is he coming? Is he coming in? His 90 days.
Keith Lee, I saw that. I saw there was a rumor that he signed, and then there's other rumors that he's close to signing. So I don't know which is true. I think he fits with AEW. I think I'm not saying that if they use him right, I'm pretty sure that they will. But
the AEW isn't WWE where you have to qualify if they use him right. Because I think AEW has proven themselves over the past 2-3 years that they know how to use talent. Yeah, pretty much. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he would do. I mean, he did what he could in NXT. He had a lackluster main roster debut, and I think with AEW, it gets to show him doing what he wants to do. That's how I feel about that. Where do you see him fitting in? How do you think he comes in? What do you think his first program could possibly be? Or what do you think, what division do you think he goes into?
I think, I'm not sure if they want to throw him in with Adam Page. I think Adam Page has other things on the table for him, but I don't know. I wouldn't know where they would put him.
I don't know where he fits in either.
I don't know if he wants to come in because there's a rumor that he wanted to be straight heel in WWE on the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he's going to come in as babyface and they're like, oh my God, it's Keith Lee, cheers. Or if he's going to come in and just screw somebody over. I can see him coming in and probably going against Mox, or just not on the title scene yet. Or maybe going against Sammy Guevara, maybe. I don't know.
So I think one of the issues that AEW has to deal with right now, no matter what, is because it has such a passionate fan base, is regardless of how Keith Lee comes in, a heel or a babyface, when he debuts, people are going to cheer.
Yeah.
He could... I do want to see him go right after Page, because I think Page wins against Lance Archer. I want to see Keith Lee come in, just attack Page right away. Want to, make it known he's there for the championship belt. Adam Page is gonna, do some cowboy shit, and he is going to tell Keith Lee that bring it, and then hopefully there's just some authority figure, someone that's be like, no, Keith Lee, you doesn't matter. The champ wants to give you that match. You haven't earned it yet, so go get some wins. But let it be known that Keith Lee is coming for that championship, and I would have Keith Lee win. I like the idea that in AEW, this universe exists in a world where, you're a wrestling fan, you understand what the deal is, and you think, you can tell where the storylines are going, but something can happen. Like a guy like Keith Lee can come in out of nowhere and disrupt everything. You thought Hangman was going to have a long reign, and out of nowhere, Keith Lee came in, took that belt, and now he's running it with it. And damn, that's Keith Lee. That monster came in, and that's just what the scene is right now. And that's AEW. You never know who's going to come through the forbidden door and just make an impact right away.
All right. Well, we're coming towards the end of everything. I just wanted to throw some names out there and just wanted to know what you think about names that are in AEW. Just give me just a whole quick rundown, like a 1-sentence rundown of that person. Don't have to go into full detail, just a 1-sentence rundown about that person. All right, you ready?
All right, let's try this.
All right. Shawn Spears.
I like him. He's not. He's perfectly situated where he is.
All right, Dante Martin.
Future of AEW. Not the best with facial expressions, but so good in ring. And
I seen Festus has more facial expression than Dante Martin in some cases.
Hey, but you know what? He doesn't need to. It's just not who he is. And you know what? Like, okay, make fun of his facial expressions, but let's see him go in the ring.
Jungle Boy.
Future world champion. Pillar, obviously. His talking has gotten better. I don't want to see him become Jungle Man yet. I hope that's a few years away.
Jungle Man. What about Powerhouse Hobbs?
Oh, I love him also. I would get the FTW title on him. There is a criticism that AEW is not really pushing people of color, and Hobbs has improved a lot from the beginning. When he first came in, I thought he was impressive. Physique and he does that growl a little bit too much, but he's developing very nicely, and I can only see a good future for him.
Hikaru Shida.
I like her, but there's just a little disconnect with it. I appreciate that she has worked on her English. You know what it is? I think it's just a lack of stars in the division that I wish AEW could get a hold of some more women from WWE to put her over, to make her stand out more.
All right. What about Eddie Kingston?
Love him. Can't wait to see how he fits in back with Mox. Yeah, I have him and Hobbs go at it over the FTW title. I'd like a program like that.
Okay, what about Wardlow?
I don't understand all the hype on him. Like, people compare him to a Batista. I don't know if he'll ever get to that level. If he can, good for him. He's solid. There's, everyone seems to like the Powerbomb Symphony.
Right.
But this week, him helping MJF, I think, hurts him, because they've been building towards a face turn, and now this is just a weird thing that he shouldn't have helped MJF. And I don't really want to see him be a face. I do like him as a heel better because of his size, but solid guy.
Oh, that light went off. Everything went off.
That's okay. Keep going.
Anyways, so little technical difficulties, but hey, we're here now. What do you call it? I was gonna do one more. Oh yeah. I wanted to know your opinion on this one only because I'm very impressed and very intrigued by where this goes. Hook.
Hook. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Send Hook.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm worried that he could possibly get ruined by being a meme, but he's got great look, great theme song, legitimate because of his father. He can go in the ring. I'm curious to see him against bigger guys to see how he physically really compares, because I think he is taller than I think he is.
Yeah.
But he's so early on in his career. It only looks positive. And I'd be interested to see how he possibly evolves and see if his father Taz's character has more influence over him. I don't think he needs to be like Taz Jr., but it'd be interesting to see what goes on with him. And I wonder when he gets his first belt and if his first belt is the FTW championship.
Yeah, those are just the names until I don't know when, because I know that we're going to be doing this, but it's going to be not just professional wrestling. It's going to be a lot more different other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So whenever we feel like that we want to have another wrestling one, we're just like, hey, you know, let's just talk about wrestling. And it's been a while. We've been wanting to do this.
Yeah, it was nice to do this, and we'll keep doing it more often. And I enjoyed it. Thought it was worth my time with the cost of admission, unlike the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I guess we'll just end it at that. It was, I guess, a pretty good first episode, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Sounds good.
All right, well, I guess we'll talk to everybody later then.
Attention. Do I have everybody's attention now?